Hey everybody, Jeff from Corrugated Cavalier here. Today I wanted to give a quick rundown on the steps and turns, so basically the footwork in the Fiore manual, and a couple of ideas on how to train that with different weapons and different sections of the manual, as well as offer one kind of idea on interpretations that I have. I have peak Midwest going on, even though I don't live there anymore. I've got my hoodie, I've got some shorts on so you can see my legs and my feet, so let's get to it.
Alright, so we start with the first two pairs of steps, accrece and descrece, and this is to move forward, in this case accrece, or backward, decrece, without passing. And this is 3-4-3 back, just something that I like to do to warm up, almost every time really. However, it's more usually used like this, stepping off of the line. And next we have passare and tornare. So this is passing, forward is passare. And I guess I just decided I need a little adjustment there. And tornare is to pass backward. Once again, this can be good to go off to the side. And speaking of going off to the side, this is still a passing step, but I like to just distinguish it in my own mind, because you're stepping diagonally across the line, and this happens a lot in the manual. And then you have an accrece and then a passare. And I call the stepping across the line passa traverso. I mean, that passa alla traverso is in the manual, but he doesn't mention it as one of the steps. I like to distinguish it just for my own categorization, kind of. And this is one of the plays where it's used. So accrece, passa alla traverso, and that was the peasant's strike play. And this is another interpretation that I use sometimes of passa alla traverso. I know a lot of people don't like crossing their feet, but one advantage I think that this gives you is it keeps your meridian basically online to the target or the opponent. So I think it's worth exploring. I don't think that passing the other way without crossing your feet is wrong at all. I think that's often what it's intended, but this is worth exploring in interpretations. Okay, so we're on to the turns now. So this is volta stabile, and this is, by turning I can play on one side or the other without a step. So there I'm playing to the back, to the front without a step, but it's also just used for generating force. That's actually more typically what it's used for, but you can play to different sides with it. And here is just, I always like to, especially with the turns, incorporate some context, and that was Dente di Zingaro from Abrazare, and here is just a fendente dagger strike without a step. Also kind of from Dente di Zingaro, but that was kind of sloppy. And here we have a fendente without a step from Posta di Donna. This could be a parry or a clear of some kind. And then we have spear tutta porto di ferro with a volta stabile, and that is to beat the opponent's spear aside, so then you may go ahead and attack after that. And this is on the other side, Dente di Zingaro. Looks a little bit different with spear. Notice my hands are close together, and then they kind of slide out as I turn. Really, and the player's supposed to take another step with that, but you can still work on the turn like that. Okay, so here we have the mezza volta, or half turn, and this is a lot like passare, but I distinguish it by, you see how I'm turning my body to the side and my hips are no longer pointing straight in front. And here is an application going Dente di Zingaro with the Abrazare Dente di Zingaro, and you could think of that as a strike to the jaw or up on the arm to try to get into the second play of Abrazare. And you could also work on some of those more funky dagger covers with a mezza volta. And here, just kind of nice and loose. I wouldn't cut like this in sparring probably, but just to get the body nice and loose. And oh yes, don't forget to go backwards in all of these exercises. Sometimes we neglect that, but you will go backwards in sparring or other situations, whatever it might be. And here with spear, it gets a little bit more tricky because you're supposed to switch hands depending on which side you're on. So that was going from tuta porto di ferro to vera croce. And if you want more of a shoulder workout, you can go from posta di finestra on either side, and you should still switch your hands. And that takes us into the tutta volta, or full turn, and this is one foot basically rotates around the other. Sometimes like that, I prefer a straight line. Just kind of depends on what I'm doing. I think both are valid. You could still see you're rotating it around the other foot, so if you prefer that straight line. I learned that from my days in karate, and it's just a little bit more accurate, especially I was doing 180 degrees here, but you could do more. And here's an application. So I'm starting in posta frontale in the abrazare and going to porto di ferro, and it could be a throw. And here, watch out for the guy behind you. Ah!
Thank you all for coming by the channel. As always, I really appreciate it. I hope you got something useful out of it. I will be making a video with some more drills with footwork coming soon. Please click like, subscribe, share this with anybody who might find it interesting, and be good to each other. See ya.